Hi, I'm David Platt. We're here today to talk a little bit about our upcoming Strategy for Leveraging Disruption Open Workshop. This is our foundation program, and it's one in which we take people through a first pass at strategy and action, which is the framework that we use to help organizations and people understand and leverage disruption. Larry, could you tell us a bit more about the framework?
Well, before I do, David, I think it's important to talk about where this originally came from. This book, Disrupted, we wrote in 2015, 16.
15.
It's amazing how a lot of people say to us that they read the book now and they're just quite amazed that we wrote it in 2015. But we did, and a lot of the things that we're saying in this book are actually happening now, which makes this course or this event more ready now. This is really cool for those people who really want to get on board with what we're talking about. And I'm just reminded that I'm reading the back of the book here. We are in an environment where the exponential elbows of multiple systems are converging and disrupting lives. Do we relate to that now? I think we all do. And organisations at an accelerated rate. So we've always talked about 2020 being the date that a lot of these things are going to come together. And the question is, do we have the right strategy? Do we have the right mindset, skill set, and strategic frameworks and thinking to actually leverage disruption? And this is why this is called Strategy for Leveraging Disruption. I'm also reminded that it says disruptive change is turning business models upside down, destroying legacy value, and opening up the possibility of revolutionary futures to emerge across all industries. So when we're looking at this program, what we're not looking at is death and destruction of people and organizations. We're looking at the inspiration of being able to leverage disruption or be ready to leverage disruption and to generate sustainable value. And that's the big promise that we're looking at in this Insights program.
So for those folks who do come along, what would you say the key takeaways will be? What are we trying to make sure people get out of spending some time digging into strategy and action?
Well, we've got to understand where we're all at. When we wrote the book in 2015, if we said there wasn't a mindset for change, I think that'd be pretty accurate.
Yep.
So people weren't looking to change the skill set. And why should I get into a strategic action that 2015, well, nothing's really happening. It's business as usual. Now we see it as different. So we're looking at this as an Insights event. It's a workshop where there's pre-work, but you'll be brought into a network with other people. You'll be introduced to the concepts in the book. You'll get a copy of the book. There's a pre-video. But I think the main takeaways here, being an Insights event, is you're going to actually start to see the main elements of strategy and action. And in the context of leveraging disruption, because it is called Strategy for Leveraging Disruption. And we're not knocking that you've got to give up business as usual. Our punchline here is strategy and innovation for continuous transformation, because we have to start thinking about that as a continuous move with business as usual. So it becomes business as usual. So it's a really unique strategic framework that's in the book that we've been identified as being ahead of our time in. And understanding that learning it now is better than trying to learn this sort of stuff later when you're playing catch up.
So it's a bit almost that we've got to use business as usual to backstop and prepare ourselves and support transformation. And that what we're going to be doing here is ensuring people have some very practical takeaways in terms of what they might be able to do right now to start thinking about how do we properly leverage disruption. And is it really about setting ourselves up for 2020 and beyond?
Oh, absolutely. And there's never a better time to start than now. Because one of the things you'll see in the workshop is decoding disruption, really looking at why 2020 is such an important time. Because there are multiple systems converging. Technology changes, we've got changes to business models, faster transaction rates. Just see how much time it takes to do a transaction, buy something over the internet. These days, it did 10 years ago. These are all exponential events. And then you've got the whole learning and development side of things, is that and jobs are disappearing faster than they've ever done before. So now is the time to be thinking about doing something like this. We're not going to be able to do a lot in the time we've got together, but just enough for mindset change, starting to look at the skill set you'll need and starting to get a sense of strategic focus that you can then action when you take away.
And who do you think should come along to this sort of event?
Well, we've got a broad group of people for this, but what we're saying is definitely strategy people who are involved in strategy. people who are involved in operations, who are planning for operations, people in finance and risk. It really is what we call the strategy level of decision making.
Yeah.
And that can be large organisations or small organisations. We've run several public events in this sort of vein where we're targeting different groups. We call it corporate or organisational acupuncture. Getting at different decision makers in organisations, whether they're big or small, to really start to think differently, and particularly having a different strategic framework to apply strategy in action.
So again, that's for people in strategy, innovation, transformation, risk, finance, digital, anywhere, as you said, that this is about activating and implementing the overall strategies that the business has in play. Yeah.
Correct. And if I could say one thing that's come from our research, which makes this urgent for us, is that the Disruption Ready Australia Report Card 2019, which we do every year, as a rolling set of data, 90% of leaders report that significant changes to core elements of their business will be required within the next 5 years.
Yeah, so that's 90% within the next 5 years.
90% within the next 5 years.
And those core elements are things like product and service mix, customer focus, business model, operating model, expectations of growth and ROI, risk appetite, those sorts of things.
The asset base of the organisation changes over this time. And you're talking about stranded assets as being another big thing here, where you're looking at, say, for instance, the utilisation of equipment and all those sort of things. They're hard assets to get rid of in a dying marketplace. We're identifying within this particular set of data a phenomena that we've identified back in the book for about 10 years ago called managed adaptive decline, where organisations and their people are adapting to declining conditions, albeit in a very well managed way. So it doesn't show up as necessarily chaos, but it's like a very organised Titanic going down.
So looking good, pretty much going nowhere.
Looking good, going nowhere is another way of looking at it. So it's the event is Thursday the 28th of November. It's a workshop. There will be some pre-work for you to look at, some videos, some other things that we'll have for people. 8:15 for an 8:30 a.m. start. And we go till 12:30 in the workshop. Then there's a lunch, a networking lunch that goes from 12:30 to 1:30. And it's right in the city, Melbourne City, 300 Flinders Street in Victoria University's City Convention Centre.
Yeah, and we think it would be good for people to bring a small team along, so 2 or 3 people from within your organisation, so you can sort of work together to start really shaping what you might take back. Yeah. You've got some support in taking that back, but of course then there's the opportunity to network and connect with people from other organisations, learn from them, share, etc.
Absolutely. One point to finish, we also do this in-house with organisations and have done this with very big and small, medium-sized organisations for a long time. So it's very beneficial. Please come along, and we'd love you to join us in this workshop.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's more information on the website, and you can register following a link on the website. And I think finally, we'd like to thank our partners in this endeavour, Victoria University, Fisher Leadership, and Future Works Summit.
Excellent.
So we hope to see you coming along on
Thursday, 28th
of November.
2019.
Fantastic.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.